morning and good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is our Thursday's 13 episode. It's warm here in the Netherlands. It's 28 degrees, which I think is around 91, and it's also warm over there in Maryland, and as well as very humid, I think. So swamp weather, we're gonna get hot and sweaty here. We're covering the news. So get ready for today's Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our stories 10 to 15 minutes started. We've just woken up, we can't read, and we're trying our best to figure out what's going on in the world. Our list today is, of course, 15, let's add 2 bonus, 13 songs that have questions in them in the title, specifically, right? Not in the lyrics. Those don't count.
Musical questions.
Yeah. And they're all classic rock, so I apologize for any poppy girlies out there, or country lovers, or rap, hip-hop lovers. Roger's the one who makes the list, and he's a classic rock guy, so he's going to be named.
Not necessarily classic rock, but they all existed before this century.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into our headlines for today's show. Today on Thursday's 13. European court rules Italy not liable for Libyan Coast Guard actions in 2017 boat sinking.
And this is Roger from the United States. We're going to talk about other world matters, such as Northern Ireland leaders urge to end anti-Romanian riots. And we talk about India's fertility rate drops below replacement.
We also have an interview with Ambassador Garcia Berdoy from Spain. 12 decades ago, Spain returned to its European home, he says.
And on Thursday's 13, we asked a musical question. Do you know 13 songs that ask a musical question?
And in our culture news, please walk away from Harry Potter. Why the stars of HBO's new TV show are in for decades of social media hell.
And it's National Jerky Day. So if you know a lot of jerks in your life... not that kind of jerk? Oh, okay. Jerky, that meat that dries out and you eat it. That jerky. It's National Jerky Day, so get to jerking. It's June 12th, 2025 on Before Coffee.
Jerky, not jorking it, okay? Nobody jork it, not on this show. You don't ask me what that means. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you can use your context clues. I speak internet brain rot language, so I apologize if I say anything that doesn't make any sense.
And I'm going to send you a video. Hopefully it doesn't get blocked.
Okay. And while you're doing that, let's roll our segue for today's first section of this Thursday's 13. We've got a limerick. Get writing. This would be a 4-minute story. Only one story for you, so it should give you enough time.
Limerick.
Write something, I hope.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Starting off early.
4 minutes. Big.
The European Court has made a ruling on a Libyan Coast Guard sinking in 2017. This is by Molly Quell on AP News. Judges at the European Court of Human Rights ruled Thursday, which is today, I guess. Yes. The 12th of June, that Italy couldn't be held liable for the actions of the Libyan Coast Guard, rejecting a case brought by a group of migrants rescued from the Mediterranean Sea in a fatal boat sinking in 2017. Of course, this show was not on air in 2017. What was I doing in 2017? Oh, I was moving to Europe, so this probably wasn't even on my I didn't pay attention to European news until I was living here. Very typically human of me, but the court in Strasbourg, France, declared the case inadmissible, finding Italy didn't have effective control of the expansive waters off the coast of Tripoli, where the small ship carrying around 150 people sank. Isn't that the Marine Corps? One of those Marine Corps songs about Tripoli? 20 people died in a sinking.
It's the second line of the Marine Corps hymn, and I just wrote it down as part of my limerick.
Aha, so called it. All right, well, I won't spoil the limerick. 20 people died in the sinking. Around 45 survivors on board the ship said they were taken to Tajua Detention Center in Tripoli, where they were beaten and abused. I don't think that's part of the... I hope that's not part of the Marine Corps hymn. Take them to Tripoli and beat them to death. Sorry, that's a terrible joke. None of them died, actually. They're just being interviews. The judges found that the captain and crew of the Libyan vessel Ras Yadir had acted independently when they answered a distress signal in early morning hours of November 6, 2015, of which they're stating Italy didn't send them over, right? The Libyan vessel was like, we need to help these people. Italy was not telling them to go help them. Italy had supplied the Libyans with funding, vessels, and training as part of an agreement to slow the numbers of migrants crossing the Mediterranean. The judges found, however, that this support didn't prove that Italy had taken over Libya's public authority powers. That would definitely be a big problem. Very distressing problem for diplomacy. It's like, yeah, Italy just told us what to do. We're just Libya. A group of migrants were rescued by the humanitarian organization Sea Watch and were taken to Italy. A ruling in favor of the 14 survivors who filed the complaint at the EHR could have undermined international agreements made by several European Union countries with Libya, Turkey, and others to prevent migrants from coming to European shores. ECHR handles complaints against 46 member states of the Council of Europe. The intergovernmental organization isn't an EU institution and was set up after World War II to promote peace and democracy. I talked about the the Council of Europe many times before, because this was a problem. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about them, right? They don't have any control of the EU, but they can tell the EU, hey, dude, this is fucked up. Libya is a member of the Council of Europe, so the court has no jurisdiction over the country's actions. Yeah, well, obviously, Libya isn't technically considered a European country, so yeah, it would be weird if they were in the Council of Europe. But, here's your news on something that happened in 2017 that I had no idea about.
I begged you to slow down. You slow down, read it slower. Okay, but anyway.
I just actually want to find an article about this original thing because like I said, I wasn't paying attention to that stuff. I can't really find an actual original Libyan Coast Guard in 2017 case, the original story. Everyone just wants to talk about the case, but not what actually happened. Okay, here we go.
What happened to the captain and crew?
Global Legal Action Network. 17 survivors of a fatal incident in which a boat carrying migrants found itself in a distress off the coast of Libya have filed an application against Italy with the European Court of Human Rights. The applicants included the surviving parents of 2 children who died in the incident. On November 6, 2017, that was around the time I actually moved over to the Netherlands, the Libyan Coast Guard interfered with the efforts of a NGO vessel, Sea Watch. Okay, so this is the full story. Sea Watch went to go rescue some migrants crossing the Mediterranean, but another vessel from Libya, who is given money by Italy to train their vessels to stop migrants, decided to intervene and interrupt the rescue. Who are sinking off 130 migrants on a sinking dinghy. At least 20 of them died. The Libyan vessel had been donated to by Italy a few months before. The intervention was coordinated from Rome by the Italian Maritime Rescue and Coordination Center, MRCC. From Tripoli, an Italian Navy ship, part of the Mare Sicuro operation, operating the Libyan territorial waters and facilitating interceptions by the Libyan Coast Guard since August of 2017, acted as a communication relay, assumed command and control tasks, and provided essential logistical support. So they weren't supposed to be taking anyone, but according to the previous article we just read from the AP, right? The migrants who were bringing up this to the Human Court, the Court of Human Rights, said that they were taken somewhere to a detention center and beaten and abused, right? Which should not have happened, right? They were just coordinating a rescue. They should have been taken to a detention center and beaten up. Libyan Coast Guard pulled back the survivors to Libya, where they endured detention in inhumane conditions, beatings, extortion, starvation, and rape. 2 of the survivors were subsequently sold and tortured with electrocution. So that probably is still going into some sort of court, right? Criminal court. But this particular thing we're talking about is they were trying to get Italy in trouble for this. Decisions of the Libyan Coast Guard. And that is what they ruled. Italy is not liable to anything Libya did to these poor people, which, as far as I'm concerned, they were found guilty of doing those things. Yeah, they did do those things. Okay. But it's not Italy's fault, and that's all this.
All right, thank you for the extra time.
Yes.
Thank you for the extra time.
Honestly, I didn't understand the story because I wasn't aware of the story, so I actually did want to look it up. So I'm like, what happened here? They're talking to me like I already knew what was going on, which I did not know. So I'm happy to even look it up.
All right, here's hopefully my limerick's better now that I had the extra time. Thanks for the extra time. From the halls of Italy court to the shores of Tripoli, a court found the crew guilty of cruelty at sea. But Libya was spared, but the court should have cared. Well, let's see. But if the court, sorry, let's do this again. From the halls of Italy court, because I had to scribble, so I can't really read it. From the halls of Italy court to the shores of Tripoli, a court found the crew guilty of cruelty at sea. But Libya was spared, and if the court really cared, they would lock the crew up and throw away the key.
Hell yeah!
There.
I can agree with that.
It just took me a while to spit it out.
Snaps, as they do at the.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. I'm all limericked out on that one.
Okay, well, let's hope we don't roll another one for you, huh?
Must be the summer heat getting to me or something.
Well,
all right, next
90 degrees in the swamp, so.
Wait, do you have another story or am I next?
Nope, that's it. Non sequitur for me. Go to your one story that you have today.
No, it's two, but they're short.
Okay.
Northern Ireland leaders urge anti-Romanian riots. So you think racism is just one of those things the United States has? Nope, Ireland, we're tired of fighting over religion. Let's just pick on people because of their ethnicity. Yeah, that's smart.
Woo-hoo!
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. This is not Ireland, by the way. This is the UK. So don't blame Ireland, the country. This is Northern Ireland. So again, we're just one of those places that's never had peace until like the last 20 some years, and now they're just like, hey, we hate everybody again for some reason. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer joined Northern Ireland's political leaders on Wednesday in condemning violence and racially motivated unrest that left police injured and multiple homes and businesses damaged. Tensions have flared in Northern Ireland following the arrest and court appearance of two teenage boys charged in connection with a serious sexual assault on a teenage girl in Ballymena. Don't punish the boys, punish everybody else. That's the point. Nothing like mob stupidity. Police have not disclosed the ethnicity of the two teenage boys, but some of Monday's attacks targeted areas where Romanian migrants reside.
So they've just already decided who's guilty. Okay, cool.
We don't even know they're Romanians. It's just like America. Whenever oh my God, somebody with brown skin did something, must be a terrorist attack. You know, that's America for you. Oh, a white guy shot up a school. Oh, it's a lone wolf thing. Anyway.
Misunderstood
soul. It's on Monday. Yeah, right. Let's not round up any white people. That would be stupid, right? Obviously, it would be stupid. That's why this is stupid. During a court appearance on Monday, the pair of 14-year-olds charged requested a Romanian interpreter. Well, that gives it away, doesn't it? Sparking unrest in areas with large migrant populations. And again, when the court releases that information, it's their fault. The violence was centered. It's actually 14-year-olds are considered minors in this country. I don't know about England. Who knows? England, right? They probably put them to work in coal mines when they're 14. The violence was centered in the town of Ballymena, about 48 kilometers northwest of Belfast and other locations. Videos of vehicles forming a barricade around a Clonovan terrace, Ballymena. But this is just talking about a video. 6 people were arrested following a second consecutive night of rioting Tuesday. The unresters left 15 police officers injured on Monday. Well, I'm sure them police officers are glad they showed up for work that day. And 17 more the next night involved rioters hurling petrol bombs, fireworks, bricks, and homes at businesses. Once again, anti-immigrant sentiment is obviously and thoroughly more violent than pro-immigrant sentiment. It always is. And if you ever silence, it's always from an agent provocateur who's trying to start shit. 4 houses were dead fire, and rioters also smashed windows and doors in homes and businesses. We don't know who started this shit. It was just people just trying to cause problems. We don't even know. Leaders condemn racially motivated violence and mob rule. Ministers from all parties in Northern Ireland's power-sharing executive condemned the violence in a joint statement on Wednesday. We strongly condemn the racially motivated violent witnesses in recent days and make an argument and appeal for calm across society. There can never be any justification for the violence that has taken place in recent days, say the leaders. Residents have been terrorized, with an S, not a Z, they said, as they urged people to reject the divisive and agenda being pushed by a destructive minority. Traditional foes such as the Republican Sinn Féin and Sinn Féin and pro-UK Democratic Unionist Party joined in the statement. So, yeah, Prime Minister Starmer echoed the message denouncing the incidents.
Yeah,
I
of
utterly
course he's
condemn
gonna
the
say
violence
that.
that we have seen overnight. No, he didn't do it. I utterly condemn the violence that we have seen overnight in Ballymena and other parts of Northern Ireland, Starmer told Parliament. He added it was absolutely vital that police could investigate rather than face mindless attacks as they seek to bring peace in order to keep people safe. Meanwhile, Northern Ireland's Chief Constable John Butcher, great name, Boucher, said, hate-fueled acts and mob rule will do nothing but tear the fabric of our society. And serve now on. Right on. Stop being idiots. Oh my God! Some 14-year-old acting up. Let's ruin our town.
Mm-hmm.
If that's your mentality, you're a fucking moron. Okay, where's your
Non sequitur. I don't know if I have anything else to say. I always think it's funny when a politician, the politician said, "Oh, that's bad." Yeah, I mean, it would be a crazy happenstance if a politician said, "Yeah, get those Romanians! Me, the Prime Minister of the UK, wants you to go beat them all up."
Luckily,
he's not going to say
luckily
anything like
we
that.
have... Really? We have a real-life example of a leader doing exactly that same thing on January 6, 2021. So, yeah.
Well, he wasn't
there's
the
leaders
leader,
that
though.
sit there and ignore a fucking... Yes, he was. He was the President of the United States, and he just ignored the fucking riot. So... Again,
I'm pretty sure
it's
he
not
was no
necessarily-
longer the president at that time.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was. January 21st is the inauguration. It happened on January 6th. So, yeah, it was 2 weeks before he was not president anymore. I mean, you can't forget history that quick, can you?
I wasn't
All right,
there.
next story.
So it doesn't affect me. And
Yeah,
again,
but
I'm over here in Europe.
It is. Oh, it doesn't affect you. Okay, keep thinking it doesn't affect you as fascism marches across the globe. All right, keep on. Keep thinking that. All right, India's fertility rate drops below replacement. This is from the DeccanChronicle.com, DC correspondent. Well, I was just saying, it's not taken for granted that leaders are actually going to say it. It is something they have to actually do. Because if they don't do it, what happens? You get what happened in January 6th. Everybody's like, why wasn't Trump calling out the National Guard? Why wasn't Trump doing anything? Because he didn't fucking care. He wanted it to happen. That's why it matters that Starmer said something. Anyway. India's fertility dips below replacement. I did that already. It says DC correspondent. I don't know. DC, I missed.
That no name provided.
DC.
His name's DC. He's the entire
DC
district of Columbia. Yeah.
That's his first name is District and his second name is Columbia, right? Danny Canal is the correspondent. Somebody with DC initials. Anyway. Sorry about that. Indiana's Indiana's population is probably dropping too. If you live in Indiana, hey, have it. Have a good time. This New Delhi, India's population is projected to reach 1.46 billion in 2025, retaining its position as the most populous country in the world, according to the report released by United Nations Population Funds, or the UNFPA. It also noted that India's total fertility rate has now dropped below the replacement level, which means the country's next generation will not have enough numbers to replace the older generation, resulting in a population decline. See, they can predict this thing. They know it's going to happen because you just don't have the people. And of course, if your birth rate only includes boys, well, it's really going to drop even faster. According to the UNFPA's State of the World Population Report, India's fertility rate has fallen to what? And there's my good friend Scam Likely calling.
Hey, at least someone loves you, you know? At least you know Scam Likely loves you.
Please borrow money from us. Our interest rate's only 9.8%. Okay, whatever. Anyway. Where was I? India's fertility rate has fallen to 1.9 births per woman, or 190 per 100 women, which is below the replacement rate of 2.1. This indicated that in the absence of migration, the current generation of families were having fewer children than required to maintain population size across generations. Well, maybe all the Indian doctors out of the United States, leaving the United States, go home to India, right? Mm-hmm. And have more doctors, at least, right? That'll help their population. Despite the decline, India still has a youthful demographic. 24% of the population is aged 0 to 14. 17% is within the 10 to 19 bracket, and 26% is in the 10 and 24 bracket. Now, you can't add those numbers together and come up with any conclusion, because the 10 to 19 bracket and the 10 to 24 bracket overlap, and so do the 0 to 14 bracket. So it's kind of a weird way to group things. They overlap with each other twice. The 0 to 14 overlaps with both of them, so it's pointless to try to add them up. Mm-hmm. The report said that 68% of the Indian population was in the working age group of 15 to 64. That's a lot. That's pretty good if they have a retirement plan, offering the potential for a demographic dividend if jobs are created for them. The elderly persons, age 65 and above, account for 7%, which is pretty low. A proportion expected to rise steadily as life expectancy improves. By 2025, average life expectancy is projected to reach 71 years for men and 74 for women. We got to do another chart of which countries live the longest. We haven't done that in about a year, right? The population is expected to grow to nearly 1.7 billion before beginning to decline by the year 2065. So it's not even going to decline for another 40 years. But who knows? You might have disease or something, right? Maybe a natural disaster. Maybe a natural disaster.
I guess the one... It's positive, negative. Oh, well, I guess I could use this as my non sequitur. Your point. Are you done?
Pretty soon I'll be done. The report advised the Indian policymakers against panicking over falling fertility, instead wants them to address the unmet reproductive goals of people. Millions of people are not able to realize their real fertility goals. I don't even know if I ever had a real fertility goal. This is the real crisis, not underpopulation or overpopulation. And the answer lies in greater reproductive agency, a person's ability to make free and informed 100% choices about sex, contraception, and starting family, report explained. The UNFPA report categorizes India among middle-income nations undergoing rapid demographic transitions, with population doubling time now estimated at 79 years. India has made remarkable progress in reducing fertility from nearly 5 children per woman in 1970 to about 2 today. 5 per woman 50 years ago. Holy smokes. Thanks to the better education and improved access to reproductive health care, said Andrea M. Wojnar, UNFPA India representative. The shift has led to dramatic declines in maternal mortality, meaning millions of more mothers are alive today to raise their children and strengthen communities. Still, deep disparities persist across states, castes, and income groups. India's real demographic dividend lies in ensuring that everyone, regardless of background, has the freedom and resources to make informed reproductive choices. The country now has a powerful opportunity to demonstrate how reproductive rights and economic development can go hand in hand. Time for a non sequitur.
I have a chance. Alright, I was gonna say that I was actually looking up charts on this, and according to this chart, which is data from 1915 to 2023, current men or I should say boys per 100 girls, there's 109 boys per 100 girls in India as of 2023, which means that you have, if you're going to pair everyone off, right, you're going to have 9 extra boys out there. And we talked about this before the start of the show. Actually, Roger's the one who said this, right? Boys don't have any use, really. You can impregnate a whole town with one boy. So technically, you don't even need to pair off, right? But, you know, if you want to do the math, the science, or whatever, you don't need to pair off every 100 girl with 100 boys, right? You could pair off 50 boys with, 2 girls, 3 girls, whatever. If you want to go into the very, very neutral math about it, okay? Right? Obviously, that's not the case. A lot of humans do pair, with each other. So, why is that music? Just realized the music was playing. But a lot of girls, a lot of humans pair off with each other, right? For the most part, especially in India, because I have that whole
biology
prearranged marriage thing in India, right? A lot of boys and girls are just like, I'm gonna live with this guy for the rest of my life, because that's what society expects of me. But still, even then, right? If you have the perfect scenario where everyone has one boy for every one girl, there's still 9 boys just running around out there, lonely and away. And that's exactly why it's very bad to have, in my opinion, right, to have these kind of government putting their nose into birth and telling you you're only allowed to have 2 children or whatever. Because same thing happened in India. China's even worse. It's 113 boys per 100 girls. So there's 13 Chinese men just out there going, wow, I wish I had a girlfriend. They're all taken. Because for some reason, our society decided boy children are very important. Oh, wait, but boy children are the ones who are needed to continue our name, our family. If there's no women to have the family with, how are you going to continue your family? You're not. So you kind of just dug yourself a hole. You don't want to add anything to that? Sounds like you wanted to add something. But...
Not really.
Oh, okay. And that's
I was just going to say India. I don't know much about India. I know they have the most people. That's about all I know. And so I imagine having the most people, it's really hard to nail down a specific trait of a whole country that size, right? They're not all, certainly, or not majority of them, certainly. I imagine
no. All of these things are generalizations based off of data. I mean, I have this whole page here, right?
And their religion.
Yeah. I have this whole page here. It's called ourworldindata.org /gender ratio, right? And this whole page just has not just like how many boys per girls, but also like how often the first child is a boy and how often the first child is a girl. Those kind of things. A lot of stuff in here with gender ratio.
I didn't get to make my point.
Which is?
My point was, I forgot.
Generalization is bad? Inherently?
No, I'll probably think of it someday, but I forgot what it was. I don't know. I was about to say something and I got scared out of my brain.
All right, let's roll I'm sure you'll remember in the middle of my story. I'll remind you. Let's roll our next segue.
It'll just cause confusion. It'll just cause more confusion if I bring it up later.
You can bring it up at the end. Just write it down and you can bring it up at the end of the show.
Yeah,
We've got another non sequitur for this next story, which is about an interview with Spain's Ambassador Garcia Verdoy on Eurocitiv. This is with Ines Fernandez Pontes and Fernando Heller. Madrid. On the 40th anniversary of this milestone, Eurocitiv sat down with Juan Pablo Garcia Verdoy, former Spanish ambassador to the EU. He has previously served as Spain's ambassador to Romania, Moldova, and Germany, as well as Director General at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Spain signed the Accession Treaty to the then European Economic Community, which was kind of the precursor to the EU, on June 12, 1985. Before joining the EU, Spain was a formidable agricultural power, sparking concern in countries such as France, which were wary of competition for their own farmers, a situation that mirrors current debates surrounding Ukraine's potential EU integration. Aha! I think we talked about that yesterday or the day before, right? Poland was like, I don't want Ukraine to join the EU because they're our competitor. It's like, but you would be an economic community, so it wouldn't, like, you'd be open market. It wouldn't be a problem like it is now. Whatever. Following Franco's death in 1975, so that's 10 years after or 10 years before they signed the Accession Treaty, Spain emerged from decades of dictatorship, deeply polarized, with the wounds of division still raw. But EU membership became a unifying force, fostering reconciliation and anchoring Spain in a democratic European framework. As a Spain hater myself, not the people, but the institution that is, and the history of Spain, it's nice to learn about things they did that was good. Economically, Spain's journey through the EU has been both remarkable and turbulent. Accession in 1986 opened up markets, trade, and modernized the economy. Adopting the euro in 1999 further solidified Spain's integration, but the Eurozone crisis of 2008-2012, thanks Greece, exposed vulnerabilities with soaring unemployment, austerity measures testing the country's resilience. Not me throwing shade at Greece in the middle of this. Today, Spain is the EU's fourth largest economy and a leader in renewable energy, tourism, and high-speed rail. It is navigating challenges such as domestic separatist movements in Catalonia and the Basque Country, as well as a post-COVID recovery and global trade tension. In the interview with Garcia Verdoy, he shares his insight on how Spain's ascension to the ECC brought the Iberian country back to being European and the international arena following the end of Francisco Franco's dictatorship, which, as we always say on this show, is still dead.
He's still dead.
He's still dead.
In
2025,
he's not made a full recovery.
He never will.
Francisco Franco made a full recovery. Anyway.
A 2024 Eurobarometer revealed that 7 out of 10 Spaniards, or 70%, felt attached to the EU, well above the European average. Is this a cliche? Several milestones led to Spain's positive attitude towards the EU. Firstly, the identification of the country's ascension to the European communities with political change and consolidation of democracy in Spain, which I believe older generations feel more directly. Yeah, a lot of older generations are probably alive under Francisco Franco, so they know what they gained by joining the ECC. We felt that our situation outside the ECC did not correspond to our reality as Spaniards. In other words, we felt European as we were returning to our natural home. And this feeling of return is still alive. We are not isolated. We are not different. Spain is not different. We are part of a large European family. That was this message then and now. Yeah, not even those mountains in southern France are going to separate the Iberian Peninsula from Europe. Despite European optimism, is there a need to raise more awareness about the EU and Spain? I think there is a great need for it. Citizens do not understand that we belong to a shared sovereignty. On the one hand, Spaniards are not passive citizens. There is a civic duty towards common sovereignty. Spaniards might be prone to more passive attitude, not only citizens, but businessmen, and in some cases, even the political class. In other words, they are responsible for a common project. I think this is a very, my head is about to fall off the desk. I think this is a very, very common attitude as we get farther and farther away from this kind of pre-EU, terrible life, World War II, everything sucked kind of era, right? More and more people are growing up.
Right.
And, well, a lot of people might not seem like it, but this is probably the most peaceful decades we've had in history, okay? Even though there are, war, Syria and Lebanon, and let's not even talk about Israel. For the most part, the world has been actually very peaceful, and a lot of people are growing up in very peaceful countries with no problems, except for, my taxes are going up, which is not really a problem, right? So a lot of younger people are not realizing or not even appreciating the work that went into creating the ECC and the EU, and how it's kind of made everyone's life, for the most part, better. So I think that's what he's trying to say here, right? He's trying to say we still need to push forward towards this positive EU reinforcement, because a lot of people, it's like with the vaccines, right? You forget how terrible it was to get measles, and then you think you want it back again. Trust me, you don't want it back.
I have a non sequitur metaphor and a non sequitur hypothetical.
All right, perfect.
Metaphor is.
Wait, no, we're not done yet.
Metaphor is like anybody can. Oh, okay, sorry.
This is an we're still going. What were the greatest difficulties the country had to overcome to finally join the European Economic Community? The French blockade was a major obstacle, as it always is. For somebody who studied this in school, the French do not like people joining the EU. They're always like, no, We veto them. We don't want them because France and Germany were. Yeah, France and Germany were like the first reason to ever have anybody in, like, have the EU. That's the reason they made it, right? For France and Germany, so they wouldn't fight each other all the time, and they never wanted anyone else to join. They were like, no, you can't come in. This is all for our party. German support was very important at the time for the coherent integration of the Iberian Peninsula in the EU. Let us not forget that Portugal and Spain were hand in hand in a common endeavor to join Europe, which was incomplete without the two Iberian countries. In my opinion, the fundamental achievement was the ability of Spanish politicians and its technical and business elite to agree to work on the common endeavor. He had a highly intervened economy with a series of obstacles in competitiveness and public sector, which many reforms pending. What role did the friendship between late German Chancellor Helmut Kohl and Felipe González play? Well, Helmut Kohl was the Christian Democratic Party, and friendship with the former Spanish Prime Minister Felipe González came, so to speak, later. But it did serve to complete a process of complacency and strategic reapproachment. I was stationed in Bonn as the Spanish advisor for European affairs and saw firsthand the very constructive relationship between the Spanish Social Democrat leader and the German Christian Democrat leader. We should never forget that it is very important to influence Europe, but also to contribute to Europe. In other words, it's very important to be an asset, and Felipe González and former Spanish Prime Minister José María Aznar understood this very well. It has been understood by Spanish prime ministers who have approached integration and membership as part of a common project, which Spain had to contribute its own interests, but also to contribute to the solution of interests of others. If you had to highlight some of the main milestones that Spain achieved in the last 40 years in the EU, which one would it be? I believe the most important milestone for Spain, which is not highlighted enough, is the opening of this economy and the entry into the internal market. A market with the vocation of being a single market. That was a great milestone. Of course, some people, some haters that I've talked to about Spain have said Spain has never helped the EU's economy ever, but that's just their personal opinions, not an educated opinion based on anything. I think that's just like some people, Spain's useless. They didn't do anything for us. Like I said, I'm a professed Spain hater because of all that colonialism they did. But it looks like happy 40 years of being in the EU and 40 more. Yeah. Now you can give me your non sequitur.
Metaphor or whatever. An architect metaphor.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, we want to tear down the EU. It's like if you're an architect of a building, you went to work, or you went to school for 4 years, got the architecture degree, learned all that freaking great stuff about building.
Yep.
And you had to build a building. It takes somebody like that to build a building, but any clown can come around and knock a building down. Rent a wrecking ball or get some explosives. Anybody can do that. So yeah, that's what I say about people trying to tear down the EU. Anybody can be a naysayer. And
you got to make sure to keep on reinforcing the foundation.
I got a hypothetical. What if the Spanish Empire was never ended, right? Remember, they were at war with England until the 1600s over domination of the New World, basically.
Yeah.
And Spain was probably winning. Until their entire fleet was, first of all, they're defeated in England, and then they tried to get back to Spain, and then the weather destroyed the rest of the fleet.
Yeah, tossed their ships into a cliff.
Right. So that was 1588 was probably the end of
as
Spain.
Catholics, they might have thought that was a sign from God, I would think, maybe we should stop.
Hightailed it home. Yeah, they hightailed it on home to go kill Muslims, right? Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, unlike a lot of colonialist countries, they do not have the brightest of histories. Let's not forget.
Oh, yeah, and we still haven't done my list. So we still haven't done the list, so we're going to do the list. Spin the wheel.
All right, let's do our 13, according to your top 13, or at least selective 13 classic songs with questions in their title.
Yeah, you do want to understand that the English didn't really start colonizing the New World till about 1630, and they really started doing it in 1629. But the Spanish were doing it way before then. All during the 1500s, they were doing it. So, yeah.
Okay, I got non sequitur, so I re-rolled to Limerick because I'm
non sequitur.
Limerick.
All right, Limerick. That'll be not.
Yeah, I
too
re-rolled because I didn't want to do another non sequitur.
Today's list, I ventured to come up with 13 songs that were also questions, but I had to pare the list down because I came up with 52.
That's a little bit more than 13.
But I pared that list. I started running out of numbers before I ran out of songs, so I got to break this up into 2, 3, 4 different lists. So here's the first list, part 1 of 13 songs that ask questions. And again, this is my personal list. It's not going to include a whole lot of recent songs, which you could probably expand your own list. Make your own list. Call me an idiot. I don't care. I am an idiot. I'm proud of being an idiot. I'm the world's smartest moron, after all. Anyway, this is your list. Number 1, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me by The Culture Club. You know this one? Do you know this one? Points if you know it. Nope,
Culture Club.
Okay. Boy George and the Culture Club. Do you really want to hurt? This was a number 1 song, and it was the first hit for the Culture Club. And everybody looking at Boy George and didn't know it was your first gender-bending number 1. In other words, you had no idea. Boy George, is that a girl? Is that a boy? You don't know. Culture Club. Do you really want to hurt me? Very apt too, right? Is it really your goal to make me feel bad about the way I look? That was the question. Number 2. This is very, what do you want to call it? Apt, timely. Wouldn't It Be Nice by the Beach Boys? As we had Brian Wilson died yesterday, the co-founder of the Beach Boys and their number 1 and basically only songwriter. He wrote Wouldn't It Be Nice? And that's from the album Pet Sounds. And it was all... You know, he lived in this, let's just say Brian Wilson his brain never quite matured to adult level, let's say. And he got trapped in a certain adolescence. Not a good place to be necessarily, but he wrote a lot of songs.
Yeah.
And so Brian Wilson was a little bit of a schizophrenic, a little bit of, but apparently schizophrenic of some sort. Used a lot of drugs, and his dad was one of the cruelest people. He's like Joe Jackson of white people, right? You know, Michael Jackson's father. A cruel, mean man, right? He forced his kids to practice. You're going to be stars. I'm going to make you big boys. And he was one of the worst people in the world. So I imagine Brian Wilson always longed for an actual life where life wasn't just constant. I'm just a product. I just churn out product all day long from the age of 12 or whatever he was being forced to do. And he was saying, wouldn't it be nice if we were older, we don't have to put up with all this shit from grown-ups? It was basically the question. Number 3, why do fools fall in love? Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers asked that question way back in the 60s. Frankie Lyman apparently had 2 or 3 wives at the time, so he was falling in love all the time. He was a serial polygamist. Frankie Lyman, leader of Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, famous play. That's why this is on the list. The only reason. Diana Ross remade it and had a hit with it later, so you can listen to the Diana Ross version of it. She doesn't know why fools fall in love either. And number 4, not in any specific order, by the way. Nothing better, nothing worse, not even bigger hit or my favorite or anything. This is just a list, totally generated, and I'm going through it. It just as I either thought of them or found them on the internet. So number 4 is from the Bee Gees. How do you mend a broken heart? They did not know how to mend a broken heart. I imagine they used alcohol. But I don't know. They asked the question. It does not have any answers. They asked a bunch of questions in there. How do you stop the sun from shining? What makes the world go round? A lot of questions, right? Bee Gees did not know the answer. Much like Bob Dylan did not know the answer to all his questions. The answer is blowing in the wind. But yeah, you don't mend a broken heart. Time heals it. Number 5. Will you still love me tomorrow? Ah, the eternal question. Yeah, we're giving it up tonight, but what's tomorrow going to be like? Yeah, I don't know you at all.
That's scary.
Oh,
That's
my.
a scary
Of course,
question.
it's written by Carole King. Written by Carole King. Who's I forget who sang this. I think it was Sherelle. Pause while I look up. I don't know who sang this. Strangely enough, it was a girl group. Could have a shorter title. That was a hit for the Shirelles. I was right. Woohoo! I'm smarter than I thought. The Shirelles had a hit with it. Yay, Shirelles. All right, so that's number 5, written by Carole King and Jerry Goffin, their married songwriting team. And, of course, Carole King put it on their first album, Tapestry, which was one of the biggest selling albums of all time. Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow, as a hit twice. And number 6, Who Are You, was the hit by The Who. The Who? Who Are You? Very clever title. Who Are You? Again, is a written after Pete Townsend, the main songwriter, guitarist / singer for The Who spent a night drinking with the Sex Pistols. He spent the night drinking with Steve Jones and Johnny Rotten of the Sex Pistols, got really drunk, passed out in the subway, and wrote a song about it when a cop woke him up and said, "You can go sleep at home tonight if you can get up and walk away." And he wrote a song about it. Who the fuck are you? As the chorus goes. Number 7, Wood. Wood, question mark, by Alice in Chains. Wood is a question, and it's a, well, not what's a palindrome? A homonym. And homonym for wood, W-O-O-D. Homonym for W-O-L-D. And it's a play on words, a homonym for Andrew Wood.
Because it sounds the same.
That's it, homophone.
Yeah, phone is
homophone.
sound.
Yeah. Homophone, whatever. What did I say it was? A homonym?
Homonym, which is spelled the same but different meaning.
Oh, gotcha.
I have a liberal arts degree.
Thank you for being an English major. Way to go, English major. Anyway, Wood is a different spelling of wood, in other words. W-O-O-D, which is Andrew Wood, the original and only singer for Mother Love Bone, who died before he got famous, like right before their first and only album was released, and they formed the basis for Pearl Jam. But that's another story. Alice in Chains, another Seattle band.
That
Jerry
will be on our Saturday
song.
episode. We'll go into the entire history of Alice in Chains.
Is that what we're gonna do?
No.
Right. Let's do the entire history. But anyway, Jerry Cantrell wrote this as a tribute to Andrew Wood, who died in a heroin overdose, and of course the line is, "So I made a big mistake. Try to see it once my way." You know, yeah, I fucked up, but I'm only human. So Wood asked the
If I want to overdose on heroin, that is my right as a human being, okay?
Yeah, it's just a mistake. Try to see it once my way. I'm not a total fuck up, just like you think, man. Just like when somebody ODs, their voice is silenced forever, and Jerry Cantrell was just give him a voice. Number 8, Should I Stay or Should I Go? From The Clash. One of my favorite bands, the only band that matters. Not written by their political operative / main songwriter Joe Strummer, but written by their guitar player and sung by their guitar player, Mick Jones, who's still around to this day. Should I stay or should I go? The eternal question. Why are you playing me constantly? Am I your boyfriend or just some guy? You know? Anyway. The eternal question. Number 9, Janet Jackson. We're going to Janet Jackson, and she asks, "What have you done for me lately?" Which is, again, one of those questions is just like, so what if I haven't done for you lately? What all should I did for you before? That's one of those questions I really don't like, right? What have you done for me lately? Nothing. Am I required to do something for you constantly? Like every minute of the day? I have no idea. But apparently she's dissatisfied
very
with whoever
demanding,
she's
high
with.
maintenance, you know?
Yeah, high maintenance. I need stuff. Me. So, yeah, even though it's a good song and it's catchy, it seems a little bit preoccupied with how much you can get out of people, right? So you're in this relationship to extract things? Okay. Well, bye. So that was number 9. Number 10. Ask the Baja Boys asked the musical question.
The Baja Boys. Who let
the Baja Boys. Who let the dogs out?
Yeah.
Who let the dogs out? I still don't know who let the dogs out, but they're out. They're all running around the neighborhood.
I thought you said these were all classic rock songs. That's not a classic rock song. That's a 2000s anthem.
That's not what I said.
Oh, okay.
That's what I said. That's not what I said.
That's what I said. Okay.
That's what you said. You were categorizing it. I would just 13 songs that ask questions. That was only. I mean, I was saying they're all possibly from last century. I'm not sure when Who Let the Dogs. Probably from this century.
It was the 90s. Pretty sure. Or was it popular in the 90s? The late 90s, early 2000s?
Don't know. You could look it up. What's a show without controversy, right? It's a boring show. Who did let the dogs out? We still don't know. There's a congressional investigation to this day. They have not adjourned that subcommittee of Congress. They're still trying to figure out who'd let the dogs out. Number 11, this is ask the existential question. This is from the band Chicago. Existential question that has no real answer. Does anyone really know what time it is? Think about that.
It's a
Somebody
time
asked you the
somewhere
time.
everywhere. No?
Yeah, exactly. Do you have the time? I'm like, yes, I actually do. I'm the official keeper of the time. Thank you very much. And the time is, no, I mean, nobody really knows what fucking time it is. It's, what time is it there?
It is 5:14.
Not anymore. As soon as you said that, it became a different time. So there you go. Nobody really knows what time it is. It's never the present. You're always in between the past and the future. It's never the present. As soon as you say it's the present's always the past. Existential crisis for you, everybody. Here's your Thursday existential crisis. Do you really know what time it is? Ask your boss. When you woke up, it's 9:01. Really? Where is it 9:01? Here? Sure, possibly. Very good question. Does anybody really know what time it is? That's the question that you really need to know. Number 12 is from Elvis. We gotta have Elvis in here. We haven't had the Beatles yet, but we'll put them on the next list. This is Are You Lonesome Tonight by Elvis. Are you lonesome tonight? The question is basically, Elvis is lonesome tonight, and he wants to know if he can hook up. That's what he's talking about. He's the one that's lonesome, and he's looking to see if you're lonesome too. It's the 1950s version of You Up on your little message.
Oh no.
Whatever message
the worst message you can ever get. And the worst thing is now you can't even it shows if you read a message, right? So you can't even just say I'm going back to bed. Oh, they know I read the message. Okay.
Oh shit. Oh, my cat answered my phone. Yeah, that's it. No, I'm not lonesome tonight.
I thought I was dreaming.
Yeah. Are you lonesome tonight? And what are you wearing is the next question. Oh. Anyway, that's my little take on that. That song is like, yeah, the very next question is, what are you wearing? Ooh. Anyway, number 13 is ask the magical question. This is from REM. What's the frequency, Kenneth? Yeah, what's the frequency, Kenneth? One of the weirdest pop songs in history of the world. Can't understand the lyrics, but that's normal for REM. And it is born on an incident which actually happened, a real-life incident, what happened to news anchor Dan Rather was minding his own business when some guy assaulted him, beat him up on the street, and kept asking him, "What's the frequency, Kenneth?" And Dan Rather, to this day, has no fucking idea what that meant. And the reason it's on this list, because Dan Rather has a sense of humor, and he actually went on stage with REM and sang the song, right? He read the song. He didn't actually sing it. He read the teleprompter, right? So what's the frequency, Kenneth? What's the frequency, Kenneth, by REM, where Dan Rather is the best good sport of all time, making fun of himself being assaulted. So you can't be a better sport than that. Think about it. Anyway, there's your list of questions. I'll have more some future date, maybe next week, maybe some future date. But definitely, this list is not over. It's got at least 3 more parts.
Oh, here we go. The arcs are coming.
Yeah.
What was the name of
That's
the Boy
right.
George song?
Do you really want to hurt
Okay, good.
me?
Good.
Do you really?
Later.
Oh, you don't want me to sing it?
No, it's fine. I mean, honestly, that would have been even more fun if you just sang every single song on your list without saying anything. And just the karaoke session for 5
Let's
hours
do it.
straight. I'm just like,
Wouldn't it be nice if we were older? Then we wouldn't have to wait so long.
for the $10
Why
patrons,
you
that video
fools?
will be on. Him just singing every song karaoke style. That's not true. I'm not going to make you sing 13 songs.
Love me tomorrow.
Okay, I've got my limerick ready, so let's go. Let's go
Okay.
to the limerick. Here we go. It's technically a
Limerick.
2-stanza limerick because that's how poetry works. In the limelight where music takes flight, Boy George asks, do you really want to hurt me tonight? The Bee Gees in tune with questions that swoon, while the Who wonders, who are you? What a sight. And Change joins the quest. With their haunting questions they rest. In a world where they sing, every query they bring leaves us pondering wood in the jest. Here you go. Give me a reaction. You're just have no.
Awesome! Oh,
You're speechless.
awesome!
I brought him.
I'm sorry, I was just
I've actually
enjoying.
murdered his brain.
I was just enjoying the relaxation of not reading a story for a couple of seconds.
Closing your eyes, yeah.
Give you 3 cheers, couple air horns.
Okay, let's roll our last segue. Oh, no, this is the last. No, this is not the last segue. We still have my culture segment. Your last segue. It's
Yeah,
your
culture
last
segment. My last segment.
And
All
you're
right,
gonna
let me
have
close
to
that
rap
page.
me. What? Are you? Is it a haiku or a non
Rap.
sequitur? I can't tell. Tell me the answer. It's a
Really?
haiku. That should be a little easier for you than a limerick.
As long as it's one story, yeah.
Yes, it is. We're doing
Nice.
one story about Harry Potter's new HBO TV show, which nobody asked for. But I think J.K. Rowling, a lot of the people from the original movies, right, have kind of gone against J.K. Rowling, and since she thinks she has some sort of ownership over the actors that she made famous, she's trying to distance herself from those actors by making new ones that she can pretend to be the mother of. I don't know. We're not here to talk about J.K. Rowling's mental illness, maybe a little bit, but this is from Stuart Heritage on The Guardian. HB announced on Monday, which was if I remember my dates, which I don't, the 9th of June, that has cast 9 further roles for its Harry Potter series. Recognizable faces such as Catherine Parkinson, Molly Weasley, Johnny Flynn, Lucius Malfoy, and Daniel Rigby, Vernon Dursley, have been joined by the newcomers Leo Early, Alyssa Leone, and Sienna Musa. Well, rest in peace, their mentions. That's right. We've been here before, recently and often. Harry Potter has become such a fertile battleground that the pattern has already become well worn. When Johnny Lithgow was announced as Dumbledore, he revealed that a friend had sent him a link to an article entitled, "An Open Letter to John Lithgow. Please walk away from Harry Potter." This is only the tip of the iceberg. When Nick Frost was named as the new Hagrid, a role he claimed to have manifested by writing down the word Hagrid 5,000 times, he quickly had to disable comments on Instagram, then gave an interview in which he said that his opinions don't in lie anyway or shape and form with those of J.K. Rowling. Well, I mean, if you support trans lives, donate $10,000. That's all I have to say. And that's it.
Yeah.
Donate your entire paycheck from this job to trans lives for a year, whatever, how much, I don't know. I don't believe you just because you say, I'm totally... Okay, here's the argument here. For anybody who's not aware, liking Harry Potter is not illegal, you know, you're not going to go to jail. But when you purposely give her free PR, right, J.K. Rowling, you introduce her hateful ideas to more people, and that's why it's bad, right? Sharing anything she gets that gets her in the limelight shares her hateful ideas in the limelight, right? That's why people are saying, don't do this. Please don't do this, because even if you personally do not align with her beliefs, you are helping her beliefs reach a wider audience. Okay, now that I've covered that, Papa Esidou attempted to get in front of the controversy by signing a petition calling for the UK entertainment industry to protect trans people, but this doesn't shield him from criticism. Okay, so he signed a petition. Yet again, donate some money to trans people. You know, get some people some surgeries that they greatly need, or estrogen or testosterone blockers, whatever they need. All three actors have tried to ameliorate the controversy in their own way. All three have been criticized anyways. But this is the predicament we find ourselves in. A few years ago, announcing yourself as the star of a Harry Potter series would have simply told the world that you decided to receive a lot of money over many years from a studio that had the dearth of new ideas. But in 2025, a Harry Potter actor isn't just taking a job on a TV show. They are making a political statement, whether they like it or not. As such, this week's announcement from the new cast members was met with criticize on social media. Parkinson had come in for a specially sustained attack, given that her breakout role was in the IT Crowd, made by Graham Linehan, who is on the same side as Rowling when it comes to gender. So you're digging a hole. I hate trans people. Put them on the list. Presumably, Parkinson doesn't spend her days Googling the screenwriter of every script she receives to see if they are trans exclusionary. Fair enough. Everyone's human here. We're not expecting that. But now she and the other actors named on the 9th, plus anyone even tangentially associated with Harry Potter, is under pressure to declare a side. In short, the whole thing is a mess. This isn't going to go away anytime soon. It's more than a year until the Harry Potter series airs, which means it won't finish for at least a decade. Remember, there's 7 books, if they even make it that far, because, a reminder for anybody, they were making the Fantastic Beast movies, right? They had, I think the plan was to have 5 films, but they ended on the 3rd one, and we've heard no word since, so that was, I'll be surprised if this series makes it to 7 books of content. I'll be very surprised, okay? Lithgow has said it would probably be his final... Sorry, something in my throat. Lithgow has said it will probably be his final major role, since he will be pushing 90 by the time it wraps. Every time anything of a note happens, anytime there is a junket or a new actor is cast, the issue will be front and center. The actors who oppose Rowling will be forced to do it over and over again. The same goes for ones who agree with her. The ones who just want a quiet life will twist themselves into knots, trying to say as little as possible in the face of direct questioning. There is no outrunning this. Make matters worse, you already know if you're going to watch Harry Potter or not. Maybe you'll watch it because you loved it as a child and can overlook Rowling's views or support them. Maybe you won't because you don't want to financially aid Rowling, or because the thought of sitting through a decade-long third retelling of a story you never liked much in the first place makes you feel depressed and exhausted. Either way, your mind has been made up. What we are left with is a show that is too big to ignore, and it's going to be a long decade. So, like I said, I'm not here to tell you what to do with your life. I'm just explained why people are saying you can't support anything she does because you're just giving her limelight. And I grew up with Harry Potter. Am I a fan? I'm not really a fan of anything. Fangirling is just like not a thing I was ever into. But I do watch the Harry Potter films as a comfort film many times. I recently re-listened to the books, and you know, especially now after having a master's degree in film, the books are not good. They're children's books for a reason, is what I should say, right? There's not. It's not so great as a book for me, but I am not running out here, you know, telling you to go watch the show, because I truly believe that if you watch the show, you are supporting her views. So I will not be doing that. I did not play the Harry Potter game. I'm not going to give her any PR, but it's going to be a great mess on social media for all of these actors who have basically put themselves, whether they want to be or not, in the what is it? What is the phrase I want to say? Like, they put themselves in hell, really. Like,
Harry Potter.
They volunteered themselves to just go through hell for however long this show is on air before it inevitably goes off air. Because I think it will be at some point going off air. But that's my opinion. That's my opinion. And happy Pride Month. Trans lives matter. and human rights, all of that stuff. That's where I stand. And give me your haiku.
Don't let the rich white lady tell you what to do.
Paranoid rich white lady, by the way. She's just paranoid trans people out together.
The rich white lady. That's enough to just dislike right there. That's enough right there. You just fill in the blank.
Go listen to the a different book about wizards. Le Guin. Go read Le Guin's books. She's a better author anyways.
Right. Alright, anyway, here's a British accent for it. Harry Potter, eh? Well, I have a new wizard. 'Tis Harriet Slaughter. Rhymes with Harry Potter, and it's a gender different name. Harriet. Anyway, Harriet Slaughter. Harriet Slaughter, cousin. Next, spin the wheel for this day, this area. Harriet Slaughter. I'm Harriet Slaughter. I'm from.
You could put a pun in there, and also.
There's a Harriet Porber book. I don't know what
here we go. It's lyric time again for Allie. Okay, let's get in this day in history.
What?
Let me start writing some stuff.
You got to write limericks. Holy crap! You only have to do one. You don't have to do 5 or 10.
No, it's not that hard.
This day in history.
I'm more awake than you. Remember, I've been up longer, so.
Oh yeah. Yes, right. That's right. In 1701, the Act of Settlement, the law that continues to regulate the succession of throne of the United Kingdom, was passed by Parliament. Of course, the only reason it was passed is because, oh shit, Queen Anne died and we're out of Protestants. We gotta go find one in Germany. That's what happened. So they went to the 49th person in line to the throne and made him King George I. Little chicanery. Nothing new for the British. They've been doing it all this time. 1707, Bahadur Shah I won the Mughal throne in India by defeating his brother, Azam Shah, in the Battle of Jujah. I'm sure it wasn't just the two of them fighting. It should have been.
Imagine that. They destroyed an entire town, just the two of them.
Yeah. Thousands of people died for their little squabble. You fight each other like men, like pussies. Anyway. 1776, the Constitutional Convention of the Colony of Virginia adopted the Virginia Declaration of Bill of Rights, a model for the Bill of Rights that was later added to the U.S. Constitution, where we get to pretend we have rights. Anyway,
this reminds me of something real quick. Random tangent. Gay rights have existed in the United States longer than the Confederacy, by the way. Just a fun fact. Just wanted to discover.
That's cool. If we want to pretend that rights are a real thing, sure, why not? Anyway, the Philippines are under revolutionary leader Emilio Aguinaldo declared its independence from Spain. Spain, you lost another one. This day celebrated as Independence Day in the Philippines and by the Filipino diaspora. Diaspora. How do you pronounce that word?
Dysphoria?
Anyway, that's what today is. Today is the Filipino Independence Day from Spain. Of course, the United States occupied it for the next whatever years.
Sorry, diaspora. Yes, I was like trying to figure out what you're trying to say. Diaspora.
Diaspora. Yeah, I never used that word before in my life. I don't know what it is. 1924. Well, I know the word. I just never used it. I never had a reason to even say it out loud until just now. 1924, George H.W. Bush, who served as Vice President and President of the United States, was born in Massachusetts. Not gonna do it. That guy, he's 101 years old today. One of our cousins were actually related to the Bushes, believe it or not. So a distant cousin to a former president and 2 former presidents. Actually, quite a few former presidents, because he's related to a bunch of them too. Also related to Matt Damon through the same line.
Really?
1939, yeah. So we're both related to Matt Damon. Yeah, the Bourne Identity, that's his identity. 1939, the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown opened, which had held its first induction ceremony Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, and Honus Wagner were among the inaugural class, which had been elected 3 years earlier. So they had an election, they voted them in, and then they built the hall. Oh no, they had an induction ceremony. Maybe they just haven't even built the hall yet. They just had an induction ceremony.
Ooh.
Anyway, baseball celebrating baseball. In 1963,
We
in this
did
day,
it! Pat ourselves on the back. We threw balls.
Right. And this day, 1963, activist Medgar Evers was shot outside of his home in Jackson, Mississippi. His murder received national attention, helped to galvanize the American Civil Rights Movement. Of course, the song by Bob Dylan, "Only a Pawn in Their Game."
Really? Okay.
Written about that activity, yeah. He's only a pawn in their game, which I believe he sung at... He might have even sung it at... No, he might not have. I forget which songs he sung at the Martin Luther King speech. He might have. Not exactly sure. We'll figure it out. I know he sang "Blowing in the Wind." I'm pretty sure he sang "Pawn in Their Game," but maybe not. 1967, in Loving, Virginia, the U.S. Supreme Court unanimously struck down a state law that banned interracial marriage, ruling that it was unconstitutional under the Equal Protection and Due Process clauses of the 14th Amendment. Let's bring this up again. 14th Amendment was passed in 1865. 102 years later, the South decided they don't have to doesn't apply to them, right? So again, what are we doing with the Bill of Rights? It's meaningless. Our Constitution is meaningless. It means nothing until people act on it. If people just ignore the fucking thing, it don't fucking exist. Our Constitution doesn't exist anymore. It's been pissed on, shit on, torn apart over the years. We don't have one. We can pretend we do. We can protest and say we have one. We don't.
Okay.
We don't. The Supreme Court has destroyed the Constitution piece by piece.
The doomer continues.
All I'm saying, the Fourth Amendment's gone. These people that think they have a Second Amendment, they're full of shit. Because you don't have a Fourth Amendment without this. You don't have a Second Amendment without the Fourth Amendment. Because the government needs to kick in your door and take your shit. That's the Fourth Amendment. Stops the government from doing that. They're just kicking doors right now and just hauling people away. Habeas corpus doesn't exist anymore in the United States. Our Constitution is meaningless. Anyway, back to the sunny side. In 1981, the action-adventure film Raiders of the Lost Ark, directed by Steven Spielberg and starring Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, was released in the theaters. Huge success. It spawned numerous sequels. Did not age well at all. Does not age well. I realize it was supposed to depict the 1940s, but if a movie was made in the 80s, you probably should be a little bit more modern with your, I don't know, thinking about things how they really are in the world instead of just hoping they were that way. Anyway, it doesn't hold up well. I mean, it just didn't age well. I just watched it the other day and I was like, this is really hokey. 1987, speaking about the Berlin Wall, as he stood at the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, U.S. President Ronald Reagan famously entreated Soviet leader, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. I can't do Reagan. It makes me want to vomit. Of course, Reagan had virtually nothing to do with the end of the Cold War. It was the Pope, Lech Walesa, Osama bin Laden had more to do with the end of the Cold War than Ronald Reagan. 1991, a series of major explosions began back in the Philippines again as Mount Pinatubo erupted on this day in 1991. Its first eruption in 600 years. And you were sitting around for 600 years looking at its watch going, yeah, time
a
to
big
erupt.
stew going and under the earth.
Yep, and then that ended, by the way, not immediately, but it ended the United States occupation of the Philippines. They had to close their bases because they were covered in ash. In 2003, American actor Gregory Peck, who often portrayed characters of honesty and integrity, most notably Atticus Finch, died at the age of 87. Star of To Kill a Mockingbird, Gregory Peck, got to be 87, died in this day, 2003. 2016, the deadliest mass shooting in history. At the time, it was, of course, been surpassed when a gunman opened fire at a Pulse, an LGBTQ nightclub in Orlando, Florida, killing 49 people and wounding more than 50. Of course, proving that gun owners are, to this day, synonymous with hate groups. And you can't get away from that. Sorry, gun owners, you are synonymous with hate groups. You are linked with them forever because that's all you get. All that ever happens with automatic weapons is a hater goes out and shoots people he hates that he doesn't know because they are a certain color or they're gay or whatever. Oh, they're having a good time. So again, hate
They're
groups
happy.
and
How
the Second
dare they?
Amendment linked together. The Second Amendment linked with hate, it always be linked with hate, and there's nothing you can do about it. The Second Amendment, you guys, all the haters have embraced it, and there you go. You get shootings. Congratulations, haters. Our featured event was the elections of Boris Yeltsin back when Russia had optimism. Back in this day in 1991, Boris Yeltsin became the first popularly elected leader of Russia ever. He remained president of Russia until it transitioned to an independent state, until he resigned the last day of 1999, and then that idiot they got in charge now took over. You know his name. Our feature biography is Anne Frank, who a bunch of shitbags think is a fictional character nowadays. She was born June 12th in 1929. She died sometime in March or February 1945 in some kind of concentration camp at Bergen-Belsen near Hanover, Germany, because people are assholes. And again, you will run into morons on the internet who insist he was a fictional character. She wasn't real.
And people might be wondering how, her diary became such a popular book. Her father, who did survive the Holocaust, is the one who purposely had it turned into a book. And some things were left out. There was there's some things cut out because, some dads are like, let's keep that private. Let's keep that private.
Yeah. There's families to Amsterdam to this day living with a secret shame that their great-grandfather, great-grandmother, whatever, turned in a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah, probably.
So screw you assholes who think fascists are good for you. You're just a clown if you think.
Congratulations, murdering a 15-year-old girl. You're a hero.
Yeah. Fascism is organized theft, and that's all it is. It's organized theft. Oh, it's just like war. War and fascism, basically the same thing. They steal your time for the most part, right? You can't get that back. All right, and our featured biography today, our other birthdays today. Anthony Eden, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, once upon a time, born in 1897. David Rockefeller, one of your original Rockefeller rich guys. He was born in 1915. David Rockefeller, American banker. Father of I think he was the father of Nelson Rockefeller or brother of Nelson Rockefeller. Either way, a Rockefeller, a rich guy. 1920, we did George H.W. Bush. We did Anne Frank. 1941 is the birthday of Chick Corea. So Anne Frank's birthday. You think Anne Frank would only be 96, right? Chick Corea's birthday, American musician born in 1941. Our National Day calendar, let's get this out of the way. National Career Nurse Assistance Day, National Peanut Butter Cookie Day, National Red Rose Day, National Loving Day, and it's National Jerky Day. So there you are, all your days, all your mispronunciations, your spins of the wheel, all your news, your lists, everything. For June 12th, 2025 on Before Jerky with Peanut Butter Cookies.
I still didn't get your video, by the way. I don't know if you need to send it again.
Well, malfunctioning Facebook, apparently.
Oh, while you do that, let's read my limerick. I wrote 3 stanzas for this one. For 6 long months, it continued its rage. A global cooling age was its wage. The ash cloud reached high into the sky, blocking out the sun from miles on high. So let us remember Anne Frank. That was about the volcano. Let us remember Anne Frank. Her strength, her courage, her spark. May we learn from her journey. And cherish our freedom, our worth, and never again let the dark mark. On National Loving Day's cheer, we celebrate love far and near. From partners to friends, the joy never ends. In unity, let's spread the year. There you go. Limerick for this day in history. As I wait for this message on Facebook, and I'm also going to see if there's any international days today. There is. Speaking of children and leaving them alone, I guess that's this week's primary focus, because today is UN's Day Against Child Labor. That's right, child labor. These kids do not know any better, okay? They don't even have a fully developed brain, and you're like, go work the fields. Go get an injury from a cow mangling your body because you're the size of, I don't even know, like 12-year-old should not be working with cows. That's the picture on the...
Talking about? I had to work with cows when I was 12.
Well, that was child labor, and you should have been protected from that, okay? I'm just saying.
How about washing
Just
dishes?
because you went through it doesn't mean every kid should have to.
Kids do chores.
So let's celebrate.
I think kids should definitely do chores. I think kids should definitely do chores. I don't think it's child labor.
This is the joint report by the International Labour Organization and United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, will offer a comprehensive assessment of global progress toward the elimination of child labor. Although the detailed data is not yet available, the estimates and trends identified will guide policy debates and calls for renewed commitment and investment in stopping child labor. Since 2000, they've been trying to get free 160 million children who are still engaged in child labor, from the grimiest of jobs to the cleanest of jobs. Children are small. A lot of children are like, yeah, can you go work in that really small area where you get, I don't know, covered in oil.
The garment industry, because their small hands are really good for putting things together. Yeah.
They take advantage of them, and for me, the problem with it is that children don't know it's bad, right? You're taking advantage of them not knowing that it's actually not good that they're working 80 hours a week. They're children. That's all I'm saying, right? They don't know that they're not. They have rights. They don't know their rights. They're children. That's all I mean.
That's right. Well, again, you got chores too. I mean, that's not exactly child labor. You get taking out the trash or doing the dishes. Ain't
of course.
Labor.
Yeah, no.
It's just things that got done
as far as I know,
house,
those aren't the protections. Yeah. You gotta protect the children.
Doing everything for your kids doesn't help them. Doing everything for your kids doesn't help them at all.
No.
They're just going to be useless when they.
Well, like we had yesterday, right? Right. Yesterday's day was children's.
It was a recent invention. You know that, right?
Yeah. International Day of Play was yesterday, which is celebrating children being allowed to play outside without having to worry about blowing up their leg or whatever.
Childhood's a recent invention. It happened probably in the 1930s, 40s.
But that does not
I don't
mean
know.
it's
Childhood was invented
bad.
Last century. It was an invention. I'm just saying it was invented last century. So previous generations like childhood. What the hell's that?
I mean, I would argue it was invented because there was enough science and enough people did some studies to realize human beings, like children, are human beings and they deserve protections and respect. This has been Ali from the Netherlands and Roger from the the East Coast of the U.S. as we tie off another Before Coffee. We'll see you tomorrow for Friday's news dump, where we're going to dump all the news you need to know before the weekend, so that you don't have to worry about it. You can have a leisurely free weekend where you don't have to think about child labor and children getting their limbs blown off by minefields. Let's go to our mic drop moment.
I am a Family Stone with one of their biggest hits.
Got started?
Yep, we're here. One of their biggest hits. Is this one from your list? Sorry, I'm very bad at remembering things.
No, it's not a question. It's just a Sly Stone. The integrated rock band, Sly and the Family Stone.
I like his sunglasses. Right? Really stylish.
Right?
I don't know. Some people, I think the 70s. But this is the 70s. It looks like the 70s. I think they're always stylish. I don't know. Maybe I guess I had to be there. For me, the 70s style's never gotten old. Look at her hair. That's a wig, but it still looks good. That's not a real hair.
Oh wait. Everybody's hair. They got hair, man.
It looks good
70s
though.
Hair. You just gotta deal with it.
Maybe because of the lighting, it's like a pinkish hue.
Every video from the 70s has 70s hair, unfortunately, for everybody. You can't go back
maybe
in
it's time, Bring the 70s back. Time. Bring back the what is it?
Listen to the lyrics, man. Listen to the lyrics. Hey, people.
I'm not talking during the chorus. But we do have to talk in order to make this not a copyright. We have to add something.
I suppose. She looks like a little bit like, I can't think of her name now.
What does she look like?
Terrible to try to think about his name.
You know, that one person. You've lost her name along with your point you were going to make in the second story.
Don't start. I'll never get it if you keep talking about it like that. That's the short version of it anyway.
Woo!
That's the TV version.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.